Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over LTCN, BCHG, and the rest of the grayscale trusts and how LTCN is perfectly at the buy zone, as you guys can see. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so I'm still sick, unfortunately, but it's not going to stop me from making this video for y'all. So let's go ahead and get into the content. Okay, so before I do that, I would like to give a shout out to Vincent Hunley for the super thanks, $15. Thank you, man. Appreciate it for supporting the channel. We really do a lot here and a lot outside of this to try to improve our own lives, but also to help you guys along the way as well, because that's kind of our passion, is helping people. So thank you for that. Any support is always welcome. So let's talk about the portfolio here. As you guys can see, still have cash on hand. We're basically pretty much just waiting for, I would say, pretty much a perfect position trading dip buying opportunity. We'll show you guys what that looks like in a minute, but so you can see ETCG still down quite a bit. GBAT's actually up a lot. This was up as much as $1,000 this morning, but we didn't take any profits. We just left it there because what we're kind of looking for on GBAT is somewhere between at least a 3 to 4x, and we'll go over that in the charts in a minute. You can see our average cost basis is only $8 here. HZEN still down a little bit, and Mana, it looks like down on the day, but overall still slightly positive. So that's pretty much it for the portfolio for right now. Excuse me. So LTCN, you can see we're constantly getting rejected off this line. Again, I'll reiterate this one more time. If we see something like what we saw before, so there's a 476% move after the breakout of that trend line down there, you guys can see it. If we get a breakout, let's say next week, which I'm not saying that's going to happen, but anything's possible, I suppose. Okay, hold on a second. This is actually not accurate. Let me remeasure it. Remeasure this real quick. So from the breakout point to the wick high, about 252% move. And then assuming that we got a breakout next week, which again, I don't think it's going to be as soon as next week, but you guys can see it puts us pretty much up in the zone right here. So $112, I mean, it'd be roughly about a 4x. Is it guaranteed to replicate the previous move? No, it's not, but it just gives you an idea of what's possible. So again, we need to get beyond this kind of fat control bar here at 50. That'd be the first resistance. Second resistance is going to be about 75 to $80, somewhere in there. And then the next major zone would be up here between 100 to roughly about $135. But this thing is perfectly in the buy zone right now. So, I mean, if you guys wanted to pick it up on the dip, now's the time to do it. That's just my opinion, of course. You guys can do what you want. The next level below that would be all the way down here on this trend line. So that would be, as of right now, about $17. I don't know if it's going to go that low. If it does, we may actually get back in, but we're not going to get up here at 25. That's just personal preference. So to get from where it is currently just back to the wick high is 160% move. So you would still be doubling your money from this point. So BCHG, again, is kind of creating this lower high, lower low, bearish looking trend here. We did get rejected off the trend lines. So this red candle did actually close lower than this kind of big fat one here. So that is also very bearish. I would say likely this is going to come back down to the bottom of the support. Again, you guys may not like to hear that, but that's just kind of what it looks like right now. So support currently is 10 to about 1270, resistance 815 to about $20, and then your wick high up there at just roughly about $24. So if you get it now, ride the move up, you'd be looking at about 51% to 68% and 102% respectively. The other thing to note here is there was also another kind of similar move to LTCN on BCHG. So you can see this trend line, and then we had this massive breakout. So if I measure that move from the breakout point to the wick high, about 416% move. And assuming this thing, like let's say it breaks next week, which again, this is all hypothetical, there's no guarantees. So 416% move would put you about $80 or so. So that's pretty good. I mean, that's a new all-time high for this particular trust. So that would put us in price discovery. And I mean, sky's the limit. It's just $20 short of the first Fibonacci zone. So that's something to keep in mind. Do understand that if Bitcoin does dump, if we have the sell in May and go away, which again, we're early in May, we don't know what May is going to look like yet. All of this could change. I mean, it doesn't matter what the technicals look like. If Bitcoin drops 30%, expect these grayscale trusts to drop. That's going to happen. It could not happen, but I would say the likelihood of it happening is pretty high because, again, Bitcoin is the market mover. So I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but that's just the reality of the way it works. So again, HZEN, death cross here, very close to the buy zone. Not perfect, but pretty close. So that zone's going to be 370 to about 414, 680 to about $8, and then your wick high up there, 1050. So if you were just to get in now, you'd be looking at 50%, 74%, and 125% respectively. Of course, if you waited, you'd get in at an 18% discount. Whether you choose to do that or not, of course, that's entirely up to you. So ETCG, we broke the trend line. We're kind of bouncing off of these EMAs in the bottom of this channel. So I would say maybe anywhere in between this channel is probably a good price to get in. That's going to be about $11 to $13. And I mean, because the support and this channel are so close together, I would say maybe it would be just my opinion, a better idea to shoot for some profit up here. That's what I would do if I was going to trade this, but you guys do what you want with your money. So $17.60 to about $20 is going to be resistance up there. So from the current price to the top of that zone could be as high as 56%. From the bottom of the channel to the top of the resistance zone as high as 76%. So ETH still within this channel. Again, the target would be the top of the channel for the breakout, about $30.50. If it turns out to be a cup and handle, the target's going to be all the way up here. And as of right now, anywhere between basically 17, 18, and maybe all the way up to about $20 or so. So pretty much 17 to 20, somewhere in there is going to be, as of right now, the most ideal zones to buy. So if we take the measure move just from the 20 level to the resistance, it'd be 41%. And then you have, let's see here, 98%, 132%, and 165% respectively. Phil G, this is one we tried to get in on, but unfortunately missed the move twice now because it's very volatile. It's just been moving really fast and we just didn't get a chance to get in. So again, support's going to be sitting somewhere around that $40 level. Resistance is going to be about $400. So if you manage to be able to pick it up in that zone and ride it back to the peak, assuming it goes up there, I mean, you're looking at a 10x on your money. You can see why we wanted to get this, but there's no guarantees it's going to go back up this high or even go down this low. So something to keep in mind. And do notice that every single one of these that we look at, there is a death cross that has formed on the MACD, and the momentum for the histogram, the red bar is down here. That's what that is picking up steam, as you guys can see. So pretty much the only ones we don't yet have this on is BCHG and LTCN, although LTCN does look like it wants to have a death cross. But there's obviously no guarantee. I mean, it may or may not happen. So GBAT, so this one we got it kind of like right in here. You guys can see why we wanted to get it down there. So it'd be an automatic 4x just to get back up to this high. So pretty much we would turn the $2,000 into $8,000. If it gets into this zone, we're absolutely going to buy more. So, well, I'm not going to say absolutely, but that's when we'll be looking at the position. Of course, I don't want to say any guarantees here. You guys might get all worked up and stuff. So 440 to about $5 on support. And then the resistance up here is $32. So pretty much just from where we got in to the high is about 300% gain, which again is a pretty good return in crypto. I mean, 5x is pretty much a standard in crypto. If you get a 10, 20, 30x, you're set. You're doing really good. And then 50 to 100x is like a grand slam. I mean, you pretty much knocked it out of the park. So 578% move on that one. GLIV not quite in the buy zone. If this was me, I'd be waiting for it to come down because it does look pretty bearish, like it wants to go down there. That's going to be $12 to about $15. And then the high up there is $80. Again, if you manage to get it at $12 and sell at $80, I mean, that's a 7X. Whether it's worth it for you to wait for it to get that low and then be patient enough to wait for it to get back up there, which again is not guaranteed. That's up to you. So 532% move on that. G-Link, again, I would say that the zone that it's going to hit likely is down here between $66 to $84, and the high is up here at $220. So just to get from that zone to the high up here, about a 206% move. From the current price to get down to this level would be a pretty big move. It's about 44%. So you can kind of see we also have somewhat of a bear trend going on here. So a high, a low, a lower high on this wick right here, and then a lower low, which touched the support. And now we have perhaps maybe another lower high. So moving on to GSOL. This one's like really choppy. It almost kind of looks like a flag pattern here, but I'm not going to draw it out because, again, it's on the weekly and this is really ugly. I would not draw a flag pattern on this because it's not textbook, so to speak. But support is between 168 to 203. The high is up here at 580 or so. And if we just do the measured move from where it is currently to show you guys just how far down the drop could be, it'd be about 53% just to get to that first zone. And if you wanted to wait for that zone and then get in and then ride it all the way to the top, you'd be looking at about 226% gain. Do keep in mind the MACD just confirmed a death cross here. So there is that. Excuse me. So GXLM, also a death cross, and this thing, it's bouncing in between the channels. So I would say, at least for the short term, that this EMA is probably going to hold. Again, the EMA and the trend line is down here at $32. If that does not hold, it might possibly bounce maybe somewhere around $28 to $24. Don't quote me on that. Though the next major zone is all the way down here between roughly about $11.50 to $3.50. I don't think it's going to go that low, but we'll just have to wait and see. So from the current price to the high up here, which again is about $70, you'd be looking at 92% move on that one. And the resistance up here is 53 to about 58.5. Mana, this one, we managed to get it pretty close to the zone, but not perfectly. We kind of just dipped our toes in. We didn't really buy a lot because we want to wait and see if it's going to come lower, but $17.60 to $20 is going to be on the support there, and the resistance is up at 70, so pretty big move if you're willing to wait. You'd be looking at about 260%. This is, I was not expecting to see this many red candles in a row. This is pretty odd, but this thing looks pretty bearish. It's just continuing to push downwards. So we're in that ideal zone. Again, that's 430 to about 515 and 740 to $8. And then the high up there is at 10 and a quarter. It could come down to these lower zones, maybe 150 to 180 or 275 to $4. It kind of depends on what Bitcoin does. The MACD did just confirm a death cross, so keep that in mind. But I would say the current price is maybe a good starting point to look to be getting in. If it was me, I wouldn't be getting in everything all right now. That's just my opinion because, again, if Bitcoin is going to have a major dump, which we don't yet know if that's going to happen or not, it hasn't played out yet. These could go much lower and you could just get an even cheaper price, which ultimately leads to more profit down the line when Bitcoin does recover. So 106% move basically from where it currently is back to the previous high. And again, that's not that much of a move, really, in all honesty, compared to where the high was in the previous bull market. So again, you'd be looking at about an 8x just to get back to the all-time highs. So you guys were asking about Bitcoin, and well, somebody asked about Bitcoin and whether the death cross was confirmed. Yes, the death cross has actually been confirmed, believe it or not. So this is the death cross. You guys can see it right here. So this was back on the week of April 29th. And again, we don't usually talk about this on the Grayscale Trust, but I do think it's important because there's some correlation between the price movement of Bitcoin and the Grayscale Trusts. Because again, Bitcoin is the market mover. So you can see the histogram kind of turning more bearish here. That's a pretty bullish candle. I mean, I'm not going to lie to y'all. That's a hammer candle that's very bullish. But the MACD death cross did not uncross. It's actually confirmed now. So even with this bullish candle, I still am a little bit hesitant. I mean, of course, we're buying. We're not buying. We're just being very selective and strategic about what we buy. Because again, we don't want to, if we're going to get dumped on, we don't want to get dumped on 70%. You know, a 30% drawdown is much less painful than 70, 80% or something like that. Plus, you can also see this resistance line here. And again, the last two times we had a death cross that was this overextended from the break-even level, the zero level. On the histogram, it did lead to some pretty gnarly looking drops. So, I mean, if you guys are bullish and you want to buy in and you think it's not going to do anything at all, hey, have at it. I hope you're right, because you know we have money invested in this too, and it would be nice to see it go up and not have a big drop. I would love to be wrong in that situation. So again, I wanted to show you guys this. So this is the 2-week chart versus the 1-week chart. Again, it looks very different. You can see the 1 week here kind of doesn't look as bearish because you have all these bullish wicks here, even though there's more red candles. And you can see the price slowly stepping down, but it's not actually capitulating, which is good. But when we look at it on the 2 week, it looks a little bit different. So you have these two even candles, and then you have this red one closing below here, and another red one, and another red one that's continuing to move down. You guys can kind of see it slowly starting to move down here. But the reason I pulled this chart up is to give you guys a more clean looking picture. We've never looked at the 2 week, but this is kind of what it looks like. And I'm not going to lie to y'all, it does look a little bearish. But we'll just have to wait and see if this thing does actually push down, because this is still technically a bull flag and it has not had a confirmed move yet one way or another. So anyways, that's the Grayscale Trust for the day. Hope y'all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.